what's the status? Where do we start at?
No, we got
Diaphragm.
We got down to the diaphragm on that, and we got down to the azygous vein
Yes.
on the vessels. All right, let me run through these guys first, or at least some of them anyway, and then we'll get going. First of all, y'all should recognize this is the liver, this huge thing right here. And while I'm pointing this out, this thing will sometimes look superficially a lot like the liver. It doesn't look so much like the liver in this one, but this is the spleen over here. And notice that this guy busted out, one of the veins busted out on this guy. You got all that yellow latex in there. And this stuff right here, I'm going to point it out, but it's not going to be on the test because you can go ahead and dispose of it. But y'all remember talking about mesenteries? This thing is a great big mesentery that basically drapes over all your internal organs, all your visceral organs there. It's called the greater omentum. Oh,
Can we cut it out?
you can get rid of most of this, but be careful when you do, because you don't want to remove any of the vessels and so forth. So watch pretty carefully and make sure you don't go through anything that looks like it's a great big injected vessel. But that thing is enormous. And of course, the more fat you have in it, generally the healthier the kitty cat is. All right. You don't have to get rid of all of it, but get rid of a good bit of it. All right, liver, there's the spleen, embedded in the liver, and sometimes you can see it pretty well and sometimes you can't. But right in this area right here, over on the right-hand side, you're going to see something that is frequently, in fact, almost always going to be deflated. And you may have to kind of monkey around with it to be able to see it, but do y'all see that thing there that's kind of deflated and you barely see it through this little notch right there? That's your gallbladder. All right, that's your gallbladder. It's black and nasty looking. Sometimes it'll be more greenish, and this is a greenish black, but that's where it's going to be. And by the way, on a lot of cats you'll be able to see it right there without pulling this apart or pulling it separate. Here's your stomach. Now, do I have Rugy on there, and then I talk about the cardiac sphincter and the pyloric sphincter. So let me do what I can to see if we can expose a little more of this. Your stomach is going to be shaped in kind of a J shape, although this one is distended, meaning it's full of food. And if you come up to the top end of it, right there, let me put the probe down in there, but right there, That's roughly the position of the cardiac sphincter. The cardiac sphincter is sometimes referred to as the lower esophageal sphincter. It's going to be between the stomach, or what's called the cardiac portion of the stomach, which y'all don't have to know. It's going to be, at least not for the cat, it's going to be between that cardia of the stomach and the esophagus, at the very end of the esophagus or beginning of the stomach. And then if you come all the way around, you see how it curves and then comes back up, and right in here you'll find a little constriction right about there. And that is the position of the pyloric sphincter, all right? The pyloric sphincter. That's the end of the, yes, that's at the end of the stomach. The cardiac sphincter is at the beginning of the stomach. So this is all stomach right here. Let's see what we got in here.
Don't let it be a
Yay, it's parasites. Yes, it almost always has parasites. These are Mexican. Little round worms. And it looks like there's a little hair in there, but a lot of round worms. Look at all those round worms. Very good.
Yeah, it don't smell too good though.
Very good, very good. Do y'all see on this thing those folds in there? Those folds are called rugae. R-U-G-A-E. The folds on the inside of the stomach are rugae. All right. Let's get rid of a little bit more of this fat. This thing's loaded with fat. Do y'all see this organ right here? Kind of soft and lobular looking, and it extends along the first part of the intestine, the small intestine. This is your pancreas. There's the pancreas. Nice, soft, lobular guy. By the way, do y'all see where the bile was coming in here? That green-looking stuff right here at the very beginning of the small intestine. And here is the beginning of the small intestine right there. And I don't know if I've got the small intestine divided up or not.
No, just small.
Just small intestine. And notice the small bore on the small intestine. It's not terribly, in other words, it's not the diameter, small diameter of the small intestine. And see the mesentery, what's called mesentery proper, that goes out to all the loops of the small intestine. And what the heck? Let's just open up a piece of small intestine and see what we find. Sometimes we'll find a worm or something, sometimes not. You never know. I don't see anything in the way of worms. Y'all see the velvety look to it? Those are from villi, which I don't know if I've got on there or not. Those are villi. And you'll find those all through. And they're microvilli. On the thing as well.